Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Branco with the National Resources Center on Domestic Violence, and I'm joined today by my colleague, friend, and dear mentor, Ivonne Ortiz.
Thank you, Patty. Hello, everyone. I'm Ivonne Ortiz. We at NRCDV are very excited to be doing this podcast to celebrate this year's National Hispanic Heritage Month, observed from September 15th to October 15th.
Yes, happy National Hispanic Heritage Month, everyone. This observance also overlaps with National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, or DVM, which is observed during the whole month of October.
Yes. And also, for almost 3 decades, the National Resource Center on Domestic Violence has been a comprehensive source of information for those wanting to learn a little bit more about domestic violence and help others on the many issues related to our work of preventing domestic violence.
That's right. Thank you, Yvonne. And in order to provide the most relevant technical assistance and training to the field, we are committed to bring and building connections with community-based organizations who are on the ground responding to the needs of survivors.
Yes, and we are especially interested in ensuring that the voices and experiences of culturally specific community partners are present.
Absolutely. And today we are so honored to have Juliana Lozano with us. Juliana is the founder and executive director of Despierta, a culturally specific organization in Charlotte, North Carolina, serving Latina immigrants. Hello, Juliana.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. Happy Domestic Violence Awareness Month and National Hispanic Heritage Month.
Oh, thank you. So both Julian and I are in the Charlotte area, which is the land of the Catawba, Shiro, Sugary, Watery, and Waxhaw peoples.
Yes, we gratefully acknowledge the native peoples of whose ancestors' homelands we gather, as well as the diverse and vibrant native communities who make their home here today. I'm joining from the land of the Timucua people in St. Augustine, Florida.
Thank you, Yvonne. So, Juliana, we are thrilled to have you join us today. So, can you please briefly share with our audience a little bit about Despierta, like what is your mission and how you are supporting Latina immigrants in our city of Charlotte?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for having me. So, Despierta's mission is to empower and uplift Latina immigrants and first generation Latinas youth in the Charlotte community. We do this by providing emotional and social support through our cohort programs and educational monthly workshops. Our goal here at Despierta is to help individuals and families build connections and break cycles of trauma, whether that's educating them on mental health well-being or connecting them with community resources or bringing awareness on topics such as unhealthy relationships. At Despierta, we're dedicated to provide this vibrant and supportive network for Latina immigrants.
Thank you for all the work that you do, Juliana. Can you tell us a little bit more about other programs that you have at Despierta?
Yes, so we have two programs at Despierta. One program is called Mujer Despierta. And so that program is for women who have newly arrived in the country or been in Mecklenburg County for 1 year or less. And we're providing this social and emotional support through a 12-week cohort because oftentimes as a social worker in the community, working with the Latino community, I see that a lot of the newly arrived immigrants, they feel so alone. Not just the clients that I work with, but hearing the stories of my family, where they've come to this country, they feel so isolated and alone and don't have that support system. So through these cohorts, we're providing that guidance and navigating the community resources that are available. And since we create this safe and trusting network, people are more open to accessing these services that they might not necessarily access because they have this fear due to like their language barrier, due to their immigration status. So we provide a lot of education in helping navigate these resources, in addition to helping them with coping mechanisms. Some of them are experiencing grief, they're away from their home country. And so through these 12 weeks, we're also exposing them to different forms of therapy that helps them through coping, like art therapy, talk therapy, journaling, and things to that nature. We also provide a free educational monthly workshops that's open to anybody in the community that wants to learn more about mental health, health education, domestic violence awareness. And then we also have a youth program called Bonita Rising, and that is for youth who are in 7th grade through 12th grade. And we do this work in different schools in Mecklenburg County, and we're educating on our youth on mental health, personal development, and domestic violence awareness. Um, as a survivor of domestic violence myself, when I was 17 years old, it's so important to, at a young age, start teaching them about healthy and unhealthy relationships. So that's a brief overview of this, what Despierta does.
Amazing work.
Wow, amazing work. Wow, wow. Thank you so much. Very grateful for all that you're doing for our community. So before we dig deeper into the experiences of Latina survivors, I would like to emphasize that Latina, Latinx, Latinin, it's not a one-size-fits-all label, right? Latinidad, it's a very rich tapestry, really woven from varied and diverse experiences and perspectives. And as we observe National Hispanic Heritage Month, we acknowledge and celebrate the vibrant spectrum of our community. So in fact, not all of us even identify as Hispanic, myself, for instance. So let's focus for a minute on our multidimensional realities as Latinas, okay? I'll go first. I entered this conversation as an Afro-Latinx immigrant. I'm a Black mixed-race woman who was born and raised in Brazil. My first language is Portuguese, and my Spanish is very, very basic. I'm also a survivor, an advocate, someone living with invisible disabilities, and a godmother.
Thank you, Patty. I joined today as a mixed race Latina from Puerto Rico that grew up in the island and moved to the United States 30 years ago. Juliana, how about you?
So I am of Colombian descent. My parents migrated to the US in the late 80s, and I grew up in a small southern town called Gastonia. It's located in North Carolina. So I was one of the few Latinas growing up in this area in the 90s. I consider myself a country Colombian because I grew up here in the South.
Great. Gracias, Juliana. We are NRCDV are committed to working to center the lived experiences of survivors living with multiple intersections. So based on your personal and professional experience, Juliana, can you speak to the nuanced ways that multiple intersections impact survivors' experiences of violence and safety, and the gaps in services and resources that contribute to their experiences?
Yes, well, as I mentioned, I grew up in a small southern town, and in North Carolina, the Latino population has progressively, grown in the past couple of years, but I often felt there was such a stigma behind like the Latino community, and especially as a survivor of domestic violence, going to seek services was really hard for me because not only do I have this factor of me being Latina, often feeling discriminated in the South. And then the fact that I was abused and needing help, it was really hard for me to seek services because I was scared of the shame behind it. But I feel that now as a social worker, seeing clients who are in need of these services and need the help, and they're scared to seek services because of like their legal status, that it's so important for me to provide like that education to be able to fill in these gaps, because you often feel so alone. And there are services that are out there for support. And I don't want race or language barriers or fear of immigration status to be a barrier to accessing the services that are needed. There is a real shortage in bilingual therapists who specialize specifically in trauma. And we definitely need more resources that address these overlapping struggles.
Yeah, I completely agree. Thank you so much, Juliana. This was a great answer. As NRCDV, it becomes informed and examines the barriers and the challenges that a lot of survivors encounter while navigating multiple systems. We must ensure that the voices of culturally specific community partners, such as Despierta, are heard. And that's why we're so happy to have you here today.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Juliana. Yeah, partners such as Despierta are the best position to inform the field about the issues impacting your communities, right? And shedding light on the service gaps and community resources that will improve survivors' lives, right? Especially those living at multiple intersections. So we at NRCDV believe that to end domestic violence, we must dismantle anti-Blackness and other types of racism, discrimination, and all sorts of structures that perpetuate racism and oppression, right? For the past few years, actually, our theme for Domestic Violence Awareness Month has been no survivor justice without racial justice. So that's something that we truly believe. No survivor justice without racial justice. So that actually leads me to my next question. So we started this conversation talking about the importance of building connections with community-based organizations like Juliana's organization. So Juliana, what does an equitable and mutually beneficial collaboration mean to you? So what do you need and expect from partners, especially national partners such as NRCDV, when we engage in collaborations with you?
Yeah, so equitable and mutual beneficial collaboration to me means both sides genuinely listening to each other and valuing each other's expertise. From national partners like NRCDV, I would say that humbly respecting the unique needs and insights, it's important that we share resources and goals equally. And we can do this through training and support. Cultural competency is key. Understanding and integrating the specific challenges that are faced by our communities is so necessary. And we also need to mutually hold each other accountable, where both parties are open to feedback and addressing issues together and focusing on the real problem and making that lasting impact rather than just making quick fixes.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Juliana. I really appreciate your wisdom and insights. Yes, I love that about quick fix. It's not the solution, right?
No.
Mainstream organizations such as NRCDV, we definitely must understand how power and privilege show up within our work and how that will influence, right, the way we build relationships. So being transparent and sharing power are critical in the process of building authentic and equitable relationships. That being said, Ruby White Star, she's the president of Latino United for Peace and Equity at Caminar Latino. She has written about this topic and done some wonderful webinars exploring the topic of creating meaningful collaborations between mainstream and culturally specific organizations. So yeah, so if you are watching, please Google Ruby White Star and meaningful collaboration. collaboration for some amazing resources and insights.
Yes, that's a great resource, Patty. Thank you. So going back to connecting this conversation to our awareness efforts as we celebrate the EVAM and National Hispanic Heritage Month, Patty, how do you connect this conversation to our theme, No Survivor Justice Without Racial Justice?
Thank you, Ivonne. Well, this month and beyond, I want to emphasize that there is no Latinidad without Blackness. Our Latinx community, we must do better at acknowledging and dismantling anti-Black racism and colorism, which we know has historically contributed to the exclusion of Afro-Latinx voices and experiences. And an important step towards building inclusive domestic violence services, it starts with acknowledging, right, that the needs of Afro-Latinx survivors may be different from other Latinx groups. So how about you, Yvonne?
Well, I actually want to flag our Heal, Hold, and Center reflection guide that we just published, and it was developed by NRCDV's Domestic Violence Awareness Project. And this guide calls us to heal, hold, and center survivors, especially those navigating anti-Blackness and in other systems of oppression. So this guide offers some amazing prompts for both personal and community reflection. For example, we are encouraged to reflect on how we are helping to heal, how we hold space, and how we center marginalized voices in our collaboration and partnerships. The guide and all the related materials that were developed are available for your use and adaptation free, and you can find them at www.dvawareness.org /heal, hold, and center.
Oh, wonderful. Yes, definitely lovely guide. Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you. So Juliana, how does your organization, in terms of values, missions, and or actions, how do they align with no survivor justice without racial justice?
Yeah, so at Despierta, we focus on serving Latina and culturally specific communities, and we're addressing these unique needs of survivors. Our values drive us to this challenge of dismantling racism, and we are actively looking to seek and amplify the voices of this unrepresented community and ensure that their experiences are recognized and addressed. I feel that by this approach, we're able to provide a more inclusive and effective support. It's so important to recognize that cultural differences and being able to confront this and address any systemic oppression that is being faced.
Thank you, thank you. Obrigada. Obrigada, Juliana. So for everyone watching this, especially community-based and culture-specific organizations like Despierta, please be sure to connect with and learn about the resources, training, and technical assistance that our colleagues at Esperança United provides. So Esperança United, it's a national resources center mobilizing Latinas and Latinx communities to end gender-based violence. You can check their website at esperanzaunited.org.
And also please follow us on social media at NRCDV for opportunities to engage with our work, learn about our new resources and training offerings. You can also reach out to us directly at nrcdvta@nrcdv.org. Any final words or thoughts, Juliana, and how can our listeners connect with Despierta?
I just want to say thank you so much. I think that this is so important to highlight, and I'm really happy that you guys invited me to be on this podcast. As a survivor of domestic violence, it's so dear on my heart to spread awareness on this topic. I will say that nuestra cultura can be very machista. And so I want to be able to break that cycle of domestic violence. I know that this is something for me personally has been a generational thing. So I'm breaking generational trauma of domestic violence. And I just want people, if you're listening, to know that you're not alone, that there is help out there, that you don't have to continue to go through this alone. And here at Despierta, if you need some sort of guidance or support, whether it's a listener in another state, we can help navigate and find resources in the state that they live in. So you can check out our website at despiertaclt.com or follow us on our social media, which is at despierta.clt.com. And we're just eager to collaborate with the community and bring awareness on these very, very important topics. When we go out in the community and we talk about domestic violence, whether it's 5 people who show up or whether we have a classroom filled, I always feel like whoever needs to hear that message will be there. And if we can start by talking about it and using the voice that we have to bring awareness of this, it can help so many people and help break that cycle of domestic violence. So thank you.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much, Juliana. You are amazing, and I'm so proud of you and the work that you do. And thanks to everyone who joined us and are watching this conversation. Best of luck, as we say in Portuguese, boa sorte.
Buena suerte. And I want to uplift you as a Latina in a leadership position, another one that is climbing that ladder. Thank you so much, and buena suerte.
Thank you so much, ladies.
Ciao.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.